Benline Hour. I'm Bobby Casserole, and I'll be your host this evening to make sure that you get all the greatest clips that you might have missed on the Justin Benline Hour. As a reminder, we film every night from 9:45 to 10:45 at the Old Stone and Thomas building in Wheeling. Feel free to stop down and get a nice glimpse of the action every night. Once again, Justin Benline was unable to attend this week's showing. He is going for that monumental record of 31 weeks. We are now at 24. So keep the countdown going, because Justin Benline might break that 2004 record. We here at the Justin Benline Hour are very supportive of the other shows filmed in this exact basement. So I want to let everyone know they should definitely take the time and check out Moondog's Variety Showcase on Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. A great panel of judges, including Moondog himself, the crazy Korean lady that hangs out on Wheeling Island, and I believe a special guest each week, this week Evan Reese. Well, that's enough talking. Let's get to the best clips of the week. One of my favorite pieces of the show is when we get to send Friday Bastulo out on the streets, and this week he was out on the streets of Wheeling, West Virginia. Probably one of the dangerous places in Wheeling is the bus stop next to West Banco. So what did we do? So we sent him there. He snapped a few photographs, asked some questions, and ran off on his way before he was stabbed. So let's take a look at some of the answers that Friday got from some of the great frequent visitors of the Wheeling bus stop. First up, we had Earl Goodson. Now, Earl Goodson was on his way to Benwood. We asked what method he would use if not the bus, and he said he would just walk. His favorite part of using public transportation? Having someone else clean up his piss for once. Next up, we had Sammy Burns. Now, Sammy Burns was on his way, her way, not sure which way, but they were on their way to St. Clairsville, Ohio. If they weren't able to use the bus today, they would just ask their mother. When asking good old Sammy Burns why they liked using the public transportation system, people here don't just look at my tits when I talk. They tend to focus more on the acting. Paul Bishop was the next gentleman that Friday got to talk to. Now, when asking Paul where he's going, he was on his way to Yorkville, Ohio. If he wasn't able to use the bus, he would just ride his bike. And the best part of using public transportation, seat 11 has a perfect symmetrical viewpoint, so not only can I look up girls' skirts, I can masturbate without being noticed. I think we've all sat next to that guy once or twice in our life. The next gentleman we talked to was Frank Orson, who was on his way to Steubenville, Ohio. If he couldn't use the bus, he would just... Oh, he's using the bus. When asked, if you don't get away from me, I'm going to stick a fork in your thigh and eat yo ass. One mother bite. Hey, you got any ranch? And luckily, I think Friday did have some ranch. Never leaves home without his ranch. Then we ran into Caleb Daughtry. Now, Caleb Daughtry was, well, it looks like he was unaware that this was a bus. Oh, I'm not here for the bus. I come here to get warm by laying in the piss from the first gentleman you talked to. A nice warm piss is probably good with the winter we've had. And last, we talked to a gentleman named Nick Griffin. Where was he going? He was on his way to Flushing. If he couldn't use the bus, he would just drive his own car. And what was his favorite part of the public transportation? Hitting on all the females. That is the difference. Well, Friday was in a great mood this week, so it was very difficult to get a nice rant. But we did manage to find a good rant on Tuesday. So take a look.
This place smells wretched. It's making me sick. I wish Bobby would have told me that it was this bad. I'm going to wear a jacket next time. Yet, it's snowing out. Whatever. It's not snowing. How is this place not dilapidated? This camera angle makes me increasingly pale. Why are we here? Cold weather. Where's Bobby? Well, actually, I have just a giant bottle down here of beer, and the next guest that comes up, I'm just going to get tossed. What is the rent here? The lovely view of Wheeling? It's been a wretched winter. I haven't seen the sun forever. Can we apply for some type of government loan? They give it to everybody else in Wheeling. There's a restroom in this place. It doesn't even say. It says no occupation. Yeah, 5.
All right, make that more like 30.
Welcome back. Our next guest is the world-renowned seaman chef, Straight Scrabble Muff. I heard his dishes are quite salty. Let's give him a warm up.
For those who might be following, DubPoints is still in session, and our very own Justin Benline has just advanced to the Sweet 16. So, of course, we had a couple DubPoints guests and segments this week that we want to recap here on the Justin Benline. John Wyatt Edgar, very nice. Thank you very much for being on the show today. It's a true honor to actually have the inventor of DubPoints with us today. On everybody's mind around this time of year has to be DubPoints.
Yes, I don't let them think of anything else.
Do you recall when you first actually thought of DubPoints?
I've always been obsessed with hosting events, seeing people in competition, but not necessarily putting myself in competition. You know, I used to run in high school a thing called Riley Wedge's Daily Opinion Poll.
Ooh.
Which was exactly what it sounds like. Riley would rank people every day on his scale, and I would publish the results. And then after that, it kind of emerged into when I was at my last job, I would have contests within the office that were DubPoints, and it was like a weekly contest, and I would give out some kind of gag gift. I kind of thought it helped boost morale. And then I thought, you know, it'd be cool if I just did this on the internet.
So what would you describe to somebody that's walking you out on the street right now? You get stopped by a homeless person in middle Wheeling, West Virginia, and they say, hey, number one, give me your credit card and your money, but also I'm a courteous homeless person. I want to know a little bit about yourself. And of course, DubPoints has to come to play. How do you explain to them what DubPoints is?
And I usually say, well, you know, it's kind of like March Madness, except I take 64 of my friends or 64 people I know and put them in competition with each other to see who can please me the most. And the first response I usually get is, you don't have 64 friends.
Do you feel the game is going to keep continuing to evolve? And if so, where's it going to go from here?
Well, it's interesting because the DubPoints 9 and 10 kind of evolved from an internet-only thing to being a let's see who can do the most outrageous thing. And now I think it's actually going in a different direction where it's kind of becoming a hybrid of the old and the new, but also the focus is no longer on me. And I'm fine with that because at the end of the day, everyone's talents are showcased. I'm just giving out the scores. It used to be, and I'm sure that we'll still see it, there's still time, where people, you know, who are adamantly against the contest or just don't agree with my rules or scoring system, you know, they start photoshopping pictures of me or playing head games with me, doing stuff that puts me in uncomfortable situations. I mean, that's part of the fun of it for the competitors. But what we're seeing now is the competitors are there just to compete. They don't want to lose. They want to trash talk their opponents, do better than their opponents. So it's kind of cool because I want the focus to be on the competitors. I just kind of promote it and host it. But I couldn't do half the stuff these people are doing.
Before, who were some of the most shocking competitors within the first 2 weeks of competition?
Well, I think Dom Vinci certainly, as a 15 seed, being able to knock off Ryan Hunker, who's a former champion, in such a fashion where he clinched the match 2 days early, was really a statement for him, and I think the rest of the field. I think that's the most surprising first-round upset we've seen ever. Well, you know, I think we've been waiting for the other shoe to drop for some time on people like, you know, Storm Conaway. He always seems to be ranked very high. You know, Jared Bloom is another one. He kind of does a couple things here and there and advances, you know, a round or two sometimes. But those are probably the two people that I'm closest with that haven't yet made an impact in the tournament. And again, this tournament isn't about who my best friend is, or who my best friends are, or who I like the most. I mean, clearly, you know, I've put people in the tournament that I'm either indifferent towards or don't like. I like to think I like everyone in the tournament, but like, you know, there's some people that I'm
Justin
sure.
Benline.
Yeah. That's pretty well.
Justin Benline's favorite band? Bush. Why? Because they're rock stars. His favorite politician? Bush. Why? Because he's Republican. His favorite Bush, in general? Female. Bush. Why?
I would hope so.
Because he's Republican, that's why. He's got to be a female Bush. So we might as well play a DubPoints edition of Bush, Bush, or Bush with the creator and sole proprietor.
All right.
We'll say if they're a Bush, Bush, or Bush, and you give me a reason maybe why they're Bush, Bush, or Bush, okay?
Sure.
So let's start off with Dom Vinci.
I would say Bush as in politician.
Okay, why?
I think that his game plan involves building a name for himself and being very prolific.
All right, what about this Alan Lewis gentleman? He's new to the game.
Alan Lewis, I would also say, goes kind of towards the politician.
Same reasoning?
Bush. The reasoning there is a little bit more different. I think that he's more of a schemer in the way that a politician is. I think he's done well at working the game and, you know, basically calling people out, you know, getting recognition, but also coming back with direct responses to other people's actions, which, you know, politicians would definitely do in a debate format.
Ashley Thress.
Ashley Thress, I would say Bush as in rock star. I mean, obviously, she has some vocal talent. She's not afraid to have a media presence as far as, you know, being on camera or in photos. I mean, she's out there in that way. So I would say the rock star Bush.
Okay. Let's see if we got any real Bushes out there. Who's been disappointing? Who's a Bush?
Well, obviously.
Get your hands dirty, Dub. Get your hands dirty. Okay.
All right. I would say John Mann was a little bit of a disappointment.
So you're basically calling John Mann a Bush.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Well, we're calling everybody Bushes.
if we're gonna
It's up to interpretation on which Bush you are.
if we're gonna generalize it, then I would say that he was a disappointment. Now he's never been a factor before, but I was led to believe that he would this year. Same with Mindy Fry. She was put against David Dodrill in the first round. Yeah, and you know, even though he promised great things and everything, he could have very easily lost that first round match. She really would only had to do one or two things that would have pushed her over the top.
Ryan Church. Bush, Bush, or Bush?
Bush.
Okay. Let's go with Mike Smith. Mike Fajetsik.
I'd say Bush.
Edgkowski.
Definitely Bush.
Dompa.
Bush.
Benline.
Bush.
That's what I thought. Now here's the big thing. Justin Benline, big fan of Scott Shields from the 90s Steeler team. Big and White Award. Who's going to win this whole thing as of right now? Who do you think has the best chance of winning it right now? The Scott Shields Big and White Award.
Normally I would say that some of the people in the bracket with experience on their side have an advantage, but I do think that everyone that's left has followed the tournament enough to know what to expect in these rounds. So your guess is as good as mine, and I just know that whoever wins it is going to really deserve it and will be one of the toughest champions we've ever seen, because this has been one of the toughest tournaments we have ever seen for the competitors.
That has to be the best Bush answer I've heard in a long time. Thank you very much, John Wyatt Edgar. Everybody give John Wyatt Edgar a hand. You can follow him at John Wyatt Edgar on Twitter, DubPoints.com if you want to hear all the new information about DubPoints, and JohnWyattEdgar.com for any other information. We'll be back with musical guests. Well, thanks once again, guys, for joining us this week on the Justin Benline Recap Hour. Be sure to stop by 9:45 to 10:45 every night for a new Justin Benline Hour. We have awesome guests every night, and I assure you, you won't be disappointed. Thank you for your continued support. I'm Bobby Casserole, reporting for Friday Bastulo, all of our lovely guests, and most important, Justin Benline. See you next week.
If you would like to be a guest on the Justin Benline Hour, please contact us by one of the following methods.